just stays right in there.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to SATAL 2020. We are again with Diamond League, which is strange because I feel like we are hardly ever with Diamond League, but we are back here with Diamond League. 64th Aggressors taking on Eclipse Task Force. I think this is Sanaki taking on Tbilisi. This is an OG map going back to when we ran SATAC in 2017. But we are getting ready to rock it, guys. The supercut today, it is amazing. It is amazing. So let's jump into that sponsor roll. Check out that supercut. When we get back, we will see the mustache and the beard. Here we go.
To go.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am here with the mustache and the beard, Billy Wah Merlin and Low Blow. We are back here getting started on this wonderful Thursday. Reminder, we do not have a stream on Saturday because I have my hands full with selling our house and getting ready to move, and there's just 9 million different things. There's going to be a bunch of strangers in my house. But guys, Billy, Low Blow, how you doing today? What's going on? How's your week been? Billy, let's start with you.
I'll let Low Blow start with that.
Okay.
I'm adjusting some lighting real quick.
I'm going all right, man. But that supercut Alpha Whiskey, he's outdoing himself every time here.
Yeah, he's
amazing.
He's pretty awesome. Why follow it? No, we're not going to do that. I don't. Why?
What?
Can we ban him? Let's get rid of.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Yeah.
I'm on it.
Jaster beat you. Sorry.
Thanks,
Jaster was on top of it.
Oh man.
Want to be famous? Come
Whoa.
by, follows,
Damn, those guys are here
and all this
now.
other
Jeez.
stuff. Oh man, you know you've made it when people
Right?
think you have ambitions to be famous. Hey, wait, whoever you were, let me just tell you, I don't give a. You know, it doesn't matter. Okay, it's just I don't care. It's just what it is. You just got to get over it, and it's. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's not why I'm here.
What makes Navy Doc say that I'm keeping good notes on these teams? Is it this pen that shows up every now and again? Is that what it is?
What is that pen?
It's a Breitling pen, dude. I love it.
What,
Oh,
what
that's
is-
awesome.
I don't. When I use pens, I never see them again. They're just gone forever.
Yeah, I have a big box over there for that reason. It's
Yeah.
just, yeah, I don't know.
My favorites are, so I did carpentry stuff years ago. So my favorites are the square pencils because they don't roll away and nobody wants them. So you end up finding them years later from a project that you may or may not have ever finished. And it's just still where you left it. And you're like, oh, look, convenient. Here it is. When I come back to finish the project, the pencil's still here. I don't have to go find one. It's already here.
For whatever reason, those are the only pencils that'll fit behind my ear. Every other pencil just falls out. But those, like, I can just like tuck right in. And
That just means you're funny looking, and you
I
really
guess
need
so.
to be
Yeah,
worried
weird shaped
about what
ears,
people
probably.
think about you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Listen, if I cared about that, I don't think I'd be here right now.
That's probably true. That's probably true. But Low Blow, let's go back to you. What do you think's going to happen in today's match? So we've got 64 taking on Eclipse Task Force. I'm going to come out and say it. This is not me promoting my team. I did fly for 64th. But 64th
That's
has,
a loaded question, isn't it?
for lack of a better words, obliterated their competition. Eclipse Task Force has been a little bit of a mixed bag. What are your anticipations for coming into this match?
Well, I think
it's
anyone-
going to be a smackdown.
I'll let you. Yeah, God, I'll let you take off there.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think it's going to be brutal. Yeah, I think 64th are going to come out hard, come out swinging. Yeah, that's all I got to say on that.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree there. I think at the end of the day, we've seen what 64th brings to the table. They're by far some of the better pilots that you see both in SATAL and when you go fly on a lot of these different public servers. I mean, I think
They're just trying to butter me up, guys.
Well, no, but I mean, no doubt. I mean, we fly with them and against them all the time in different places, and there's a very obvious knowledge of what is going on, and not every group has it. I think in its entirety like that. So I think it doesn't really matter what set of guys you guys throw out there. You have people who know what they're doing, and that's dangerous, no matter what day of the week or venue you're talking about. So.
Well, I'm going to try and be unbiased and impartial here. I have not watched this match. I have no idea what's going to happen. I try and stay away from this stuff. I haven't flown in any of the SATAL stuff this year. I did last year, the year before, and in SATAC and all that stuff. So I'm familiar with the scene. I just haven't flown this year. So we'll see. I haven't had time with my house and stuff going on the market. And this and all this other stuff. Quick news bit. Low Blow, you said you've got some interview stuff coming up. You've got Pilot X Against the World stuff coming up. So before we jump in here, why don't you enlighten everybody on what you got coming before we jump into the sim?
Yeah, sure. This Sunday, we got an interview coming up with Slick 1212, who is Guido 1212's partner in crime. So that both of those guys flew F-15Cs. I think they've got about 1,500 hours each in the Eagle. So Slick's going to come on and talk to us about his career and about some BFM stuff. So that's going to be on this Sunday at 1,500 Zulu. And then the following Sunday is Pilot X 001, which is Play School. So he got that role because he won the clinic-sanctioned BFM tournament, the most recent one we held. So he got right of first refusal on that. He accepted.
He's a terrible pilot, by the way. Play School is awful. I'm just going to Play School. I love you. The Frenchman will come kick your ass in BFM. He is French, right? I'm pretty sure
he's French. Yeah, he flew the Rafale in real life, so that's gonna be awesome to see.
I did not know that. Did he really?
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah. Play School's real fighter pilot, and
That's awesome.
So after that, he is. We're gonna do an interview with Ace Sung-ho right before he fights Falco. So, yeah, let me just have a look. I think it's we're doing that at. We're doing the Pilot X stream at 2000 Zulu on the Sunday. We expect it to last for about 2 hours, and then we'll jump straight into that. So Guido and I will be interviewing Sung-ho, and that'll be on my Twitch there.
Okay, Billy. Anything? You just have your commercial website that you're building that's still not done.
I'm
That
just
you
grinding.
constantly are upset
Yes.
about because it's a lot of work. Wild
Yes.
Weasel Apparel, new stuff.
Yep.
We're trying to get some more cohesion with DCS World events and the quotes and everything, and bring out some cool shirts. Maybe sometime in the future. That wasn't anything on you, Billy.
Well,
that was just stuff enlightening.
No,
people about what's coming here.
I have like a kind of a pad that I keep ideas on, and like I wrote the some of the different stuff that we've been talking about on here, like trust the notch and support your local Fox 3, or support your local AMRAM, or support your local Phoenix. We've been banging around a few different ideas on that type of stuff. So yeah, the more stuff we kind of have on here that ends up being cool, I really want to try to encapsulate some of that stuff into shirts, as you've kind of suggested. So I think once we get that up, everyone here is really going to enjoy it. And I'm working on getting a coupon code with a link for you guys to use, so that way we can really try to get you guys a nice discount, get you guys some cool specific merch too. Like I don't know, I wanted to talk to you, maybe doing just some drops just for the SATAL community. We keep that stuff kind of limited, and for the people who really kind of care about that type of stuff too. So I don't know, a lot of different ideas we can kind of play around with on that stuff. So sure, we
can talk about that stuff off stream. But guys, let's jump into the sim. 64th taking on Eclipse Task Force. This is going to be Sanaki taking on Tbilisi. Lots of F-14s today. Not a whole lot of F-16s like we've seen historically. Lots of Tomcats. There's some Jeffs. There's some Hornets. A couple 16s, but not as many as we've seen in the past. So let's jump in, see how these teams are going to get on. Here we go. Oh, what is Moltar? What are you doing? Why are you not playing? There we go.
Oh, I was pleased to hear you mention the Jeff there. We don't see many of those around, do we?
No, not really.
We really don't, and not nearly as much this this past few matches as maybe we have earlier in the season. So nice to see it kind of make a reoccurrence. I know there was a match I missed where some guys were getting some pretty long shots off with those SD10s. Missiles moving at some pretty fast rates, so I'd be curious if we see guys trying to get that stuff off today. So
that was a little concerning. I don't know how I feel.
I feel about that. On that, where is this right? I just feel like we've gone back and forth with some of this stuff so much that where the reality lies with it and where we should have it as versus what the actual distances are is so lost at this point that it's you just never know. And I feel like this is an ED problem too, and this is part of it with the way things kind of work with the open beta and so on and so forth. But you get these missiles where it just goes back and forth between this and between that, and it gets tweaked and it's wrong there and it gets changed to where you're just so broken with it, you don't know what the actual distances and timelines are as things change. And if you don't put the work into keeping up with that type of stuff, you go to sit down and fly DCS and things are much different. So I don't know, I just wish they would get to a point where we were a little bit more solid on the missiles and the amount of changes that take place with all that stuff.
Well, it's interesting seeing the distances involved on this one compared to the last one. So we're nearly double the ingress range here at about 135 miles. So those Tomcats should do some work,
Yeah, right. We should expect to see some Phoenixes launch, and I think anyone who paid attention in that supercut from Alpha Whiskey, you definitely saw some Phoenix launches highlighted there. So we know those Tomcats are going to be getting into the mix. I'm assuming pretty early. We'll see. Do we know, is there Tomcats on both sides, correct?
Yes, there are. So from what I'm seeing down here, we've got Rage leading the way in a Hornet for 64th, Crips in an F-14, No Wheels in an F-14, Yaga and Comey in 16s, and X-Men in an 18. So we got 2 18s, 2 14s, and 2 16s for 64th. And then I thought I saw 2 14s take off already. We'll have to check to see who they were for Eclipse Task Force. And then we got Breeze and Riker in Jeffs, and Super and Aspen in 18. So we usually see a lot more Vipers, but this year we won't. Not this year. This time we've only got 2.
Malta, do you know if No Wheels and Crips are carrying human Rios? Or?
You are required to carry human Rios in Diamond.
Okay.
Gold League you don't, but in Diamond you are required to carry a human Rio.
Do you know who the Rios are?
Vaddy and probably Fox are probably your Rios for 64th, but don't quote me on that. Vaddy's probably flying with No Wheels. I don't know who Crips's Rio is.
So what role are you expecting the JF-17s to play in all this?
That's always kind of a hit and miss thing. I don't really know. In the past, we've seen them take up the mantle of what the F-14s have done, because that SD-10 at high altitude, it's got some smash. It can get up to and climb to 75, 80,000 feet and hit its target from 60 miles at Mach 3. So it's going to be really interesting to see if they take kind of that role that the Tomcat plays, but in at close range and low altitude, the SD-10 has a tendency to suffer, from what I understand and seen of it in the past.
I know.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's low altitude. Your ranges are pretty tight with it. You really got to kind of be in somebody's kitchen, to get a good quality shot off. But as always, parameters, parameters are king there, right? You want to make sure you're in the right parameters. But as we were talking before, knowing what those parameters are can be challenging these days. But seeing that thing get up to that altitude and get that type of speed coming downhill is scary at the end of the day. That's a potent bit. It's the reality of it.
And it's got a bit better seeker on it than the Phoenix, so it's a little bit harder to get rid of. The Jeff's radar is okay to get away from. However, from what I understand and what we've recently uncovered, is the Jeff's radar has no notch filter. So I don't think you can notch the JF-17's radar.
Well, I believe the JF-17's radar was produced post 2000. I mean, I believe it's commercial grade too. It's not military grade radar, if my memory serves me correctly. It's off the shelf type technology to keep the cost down and that whole thing. So I'm curious how that factors in, and I'd love somebody who's knowledge, maybe some of these IRL pilots out there, that's an interesting subject to take on, military grade versus commercial radar in a commercial radar being used in a military application and so on and so forth. Obviously, I don't think it can be that big of a detriment, or they probably wouldn't have done it. But nevertheless, I do think that factors in somewhat as to why we see it kind of struggle at times. It's not very powerful. You're really going to struggle to get a contact on the radar past 40 at times. I mean, you can definitely do it, and with data link, it makes life a little bit easier. But I think it does struggle to pick stuff up out at ranges.
Now, Malta, between Comey on the right and Cripps on the left, we've got about a 18-mile line abreast here. These guys are coming in a bit of a front, whereas ETF coming in as lemming train. Are you expecting 64 to try and bracket around these guys and close them in?
Typically, what 64th will do in these scenarios is run a stinger. So you've got Comey and Yaga in a lead 2 ship with X-Men as the number 3 in the trail, and then you've got Rage and Cripps up to the north with no wheels in the trail. So you've got the 2 ships up front, the 2 ships of Rage and Cripps, Comey and Yaga, and then the 2 singletons in the rear of X-Men and no wheels. So typically what'll happen in these situations is these guys will ingress, and then they will turn cold, and then you have X-Men who's still hot coming in here, and then when he turns cold, this 2 ship will recommit. So the idea behind it is that you always have an emitter facing towards your enemy, and with PPLI and with AWACS and stuff, you get the best possible picture that you can get, and try and always have tally or some type of semblance of where your enemy is. So that's the idea behind it. We're going to have to see if it actually ends up playing out that way to see how well 64th is able to stay with that. Sometimes you can have things break down. It looks like we're going to have some change. Cripps launched a couple MK60s from a little bit of a range. This went from 50 miles, so he's already turned cold. But look, you can now see that Rage has turned cold to head back with his wingmen. So they're trying to stay together. They don't want to isolate themselves. The 2 ship will typically always try and function as a 2 ship, and the singleton is going to be more of an on-station AWACS.
Right. It's good to see Yaga and Comey getting rather fast in those Vipers down there. Comey already at Mark 1.3, trying to close it up.
So we've got the split screen now. We're riding along with one of the Phoenix. I don't know which one it is, but we've got the Phoenix, these 2 coming in, and we've got the map on the left so you guys can see where everything is. So this Phoenix is tracking Josh Willis. I think we're on the bottom Phoenix. This one's coming in against Josh Willis. We are at 1,100 knots, still closing. I'm going to anticipate that it's going to lose all of its energy as it gets closer here. We're down to 900 knots, and Willis is going to be able to out-energy this. marginally close.
Taking it back uphill was a smart move there. Looks like it's going to bleed most of that energy.
I don't know that anybody ever does this intentionally. You're just kind of running, and then we get hindsight and the full picture here as these guys egress away. But the Phoenix coming in against Kingston.
So how does Eclipse Task Force stack up in the comp? What do we know about these guys?
I'd have to go back and check the website to see how they're doing. I think they're middle of the pack, maybe? I think is where they sit. I'd have to go check. 64th is currently leading. They're tied record-wise with Taw, but they have a better kill-to-death ratio. I think their kill-to-death ratio is approaching 6-1, so we'll just have to see. Have to see how it all goes. I already fixed it. We'll see if that ends up helping. Music's probably just a little bit loud, so we'll turn that down. But you can see, like we talked about earlier, that 64th is just functioning more as a unit. So Yaga and Comey are still together. The singleton of X-Men is now up front. Crips is recommitted with Rage. They're stacked. We'll have to see how that ends up playing out if that becomes a problem. But you can see that they're just acting as a cohesive unit. If you're able to function this way, you're not ever committing into engagements as a singleton. The singletons in these Stinger formations are typically more hesitant to engage, but sometimes they're aggressive. We'll just have to see how it all plays out. We just saw Kingston send off another Mark 60, so that's going to be from the Tomcat in the north part of the formation. Lots of MK60s being launched here early from distance.
Now, this is interesting. I mean, looking at Breeze, he's really low. He's down at 8,000 feet. I mean, can you shed some insight on why he might be that low?
I don't really know. I think a big part of being low there is just not climbing when you're egressing away. Maybe trying to conserve fuel.
It just doesn't look like they're pulling back and getting enough altitude on their egresses, from what I can gather from the side profile in TAC view. It just, you can see the altitude separation. Like if you tilt your camera in TAC view and look at it from side profile, so you have the red on one side and the blue on the other, the altitude profile is painfully obvious right now. The 64th guys all coming back, getting altitude. I mean, you can just see it as where the ETF guys came in at altitude, were driven down, and are now basically on the deck above the mountains.
Everyone for 64th is above 25,000 feet. And then if we look at Breeze, he's at 12,000 feet. Kingston, 6,000 feet. Josh Willis, 14,000 feet. Super, 11. Riker, 10. So the altitude disparities here.
Yeah, if we do the TAC view debrief after this, definitely.
I don't think I'm going to have time.
Well, maybe I might be able to gift this out and we'll put it out on the social media or something like that, because you can really see the difference here, and it makes it obvious to see why they're driving them down, because they're just not coming back after their egress and getting that altitude.
Mustang says the Jet struggles to get back to altitude. I mean, not really. You want to be climbing on your egress typically in these situations. So you can always saunter. You can always use mill power. You don't have to be in gate to get back up there. But I'm not a huge fan of these low altitude MK60s that are being launched. This one, as we ride along with it, this one has a lot more energy on it than the ones we saw launched from Eclipse Task Force, and I think a big reason for that is that it was launched from a higher altitude. So it's just now coming down under 1,000 knots. Is it going to be able to reach out and touch Riker? Probably not, but look how close it's getting. It is getting very close, and if Riker actually didn't pull that turn, it is right behind him. I mean, it is. They don't get closer than this, ladies and gentlemen.
Could have gunsed him. Guns him right there.
It's definitely could. You could have had a toddler on the top of this thing throwing rocks at Riker's aircraft. I mean, that's how close this thing got.
Pretty much.
But Rage got a little bit isolated out here in the front. I don't know why he's out there by himself. Was flying with Crips. Not entirely sure. He's pretty isolated now. We'll have to see if he's able to regroup with Crips. He's at 5,000 feet, which when you're by yourself in this position, that's not a bad position to be in, low, because when you're that close to the enemy, You don't really want to be high.
Rage has a 17-mile Phoenix on him at the moment, but it was launched from Kingston, who was at 8,000 feet. So,
yeah, I'm not sure why they're keeping those Tomcats low on the deck. That one, some of the other ones, like I can understand that the Jeff. Yeah, no, the Jeff is not going to get up to 40,000 as fast as some of these other planes on the field here are going to. So the F-14, however, can pull back, can egress, and can get a decent chunk of altitude back under its feet there to help with those launches. And I just think you're making life easy for 64th by doing things like that.
Well, have a look at this now. Comey 1 facing off against Josh Willis, 13 miles. And he's got Yaga with him in support. You've got Riker and Breeze there to the south. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Josh here.
Josh is going to be fine as long as he doesn't overcommit. He's going to be by himself in this situation against effectively a 3-ship from 64th. It's not really a position that I want to be in, 1v3, but, if he's got a Phoenix, does he have any Phoenixes left? Because we've seen a lot come off. He doesn't. So he's already down. He's already Phoenixless. He only has the AIM-7s left and the AIM-9s. No big long-range pokey sticks, which is kind of not a really good position that you want to be in. So Josh is
he has a Phoenix coming in from Cripps.
Great spot. Cripps launches a Phoenix from the north. That's coming in. That was from over 20,000 feet. So here's the Phoenix as it comes in against Josh Willis down here. This thing's going to have plenty of energy as it comes. Oh, but Josh just flies into the ground. Doesn't even have to get hit by the missile. The threat of the incoming missile was enough to drive him mad and to drive him into the ground, giving the ground the early victory. So we're down already to a 5v6, which is not a place you want to be
right now.
Rage is now head-to-head, like you just said. Well, the Phoenix is actually going against Cripps, I think. But Rage is now head-to-head against Kingston. Does Kingston have any Phoenixes? There goes one. So that Phoenix is from 13 miles. That is a better position to launch a Phoenix in. Rage is going to have a really difficult time out-energing that missile. If he doesn't notch this, he's going to die. So let's ride along from Rage's perspective. We're not seeing that Phoenix yet. I don't see it. But it's
somebody
coming.
Chat asked, is the jammer allowed on the Jeff in this?
Yes.
Yes,
The jammer, you can have the pod, but you can't use it. And Rage gets hit. Rage is taken out. That's really unfortunate. That was just down to, he was trying to out-energy a 13-mile Phoenix and pays for it by losing his wings to the airborne telephone pole, which is going to win every time. I'm going to pause it real quick. Boop. Okay, so we're paused. I just want to make sure that we don't miss anything. Rage got taken down. Kingston, which is what Low Blow just called Kingston, is right here. He's got the Phoenix coming in. The Phoenix is at 2,100 knots. I'm just going to go out on a limb here, ladies and gentlemen, and say you're not going to out-energy that.
No, that's a hard one, especially at that distance.
So if we jump to Kingston's perspective, right here, there is the Phoenix, and that Phoenix is like a tornado from the movie Twister, seeing a house out in the middle of a field or seeing a trailer park. Kingston is the trailer park, and it is just locked on, and Kingston, you in trouble, brother.
Yeah, man, these sub-20-mile Phoenixes are no joke.
They're dangerous. And we talk about this. I'm going to leave it paused while we talk about this. These are the positions that you want to be launching these Phoenixes from, right? 50-mile Phoenix. It's not burning anymore. You can out-energy it easily. This thing, still burning, 2,100 knots, and it's 2 miles away. The only way to get away from this is to line of sight it or notch it. And I don't think Kingston is in the position to do either.
It's got speed, but I don't know if that's going to be enough for him here. That's a bad spot.
I don't know, Billy. I think 615 knots, 2,100 knots. The scales just don't quite equal there. So we're going to hit play, and I anticipate a telephone pole flying right through his cockpit. Let's see what happens. Here it comes, mile and a half, 1 mile, half mile, little bit of lag, but that's not going to be enough to stop the telephone pole as it flies directly up Kingston's exhaust, and he is the latest ejection from this match. And these Phoenix, guys, we haven't seen Phoenix have this much of an impact on a match in a long, long time.
Oh, this is some of the better use of it we've seen in a while, too. We see, 64th guys obviously knowing their parameters very well, making sure they are in them when they're getting these shots off. Or if they're not necessarily in parameters, there's a damn good reason as to why they're shooting. And I think we're seeing that on display here.
So Aspen launching a 15-mile slammer against, looks like Yaga.
Yaga returning fire. I don't think that's on Aspen. It is on Aspen, but Yaga was fast. Yaga was pushing like Mach 1.5 and launched from 11 miles. And that missile, I lost it. That missile, King's Aspen is still really high. Missile's closing 2.5 miles, and Aspen now has a Phoenix coming at him. And he's not getting away from either of these missiles. That Phoenix is going to plow into him. Half mile, 1 mile. That's another Phoenix kill. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the third Phoenix kill in this match. Usually we see one in a whole match. This is the first round, and we've already seen 3.
So we're into a 3v5 at the moment.
That is highly unusual in something like this. So Aspen gets taken down. We're down to a 3v5. X-Men now ingressing against Super. Another Phoenix being launched from Eclipse. And again, I gotta point it out again, this is a showcase for why to hold onto your Phoenixes, launch them from higher altitude and from closer range, and they are a force to be reckoned with.
Well, I mean, you just saw it there against Kingston. That Phoenix made that incoming AMRAAM look like it was standing still.
And here comes another one. Another one launched from inside 15 miles, and it's going to plow straight into Super. That's the 4th kill. The 4th Phoenix kill of this round. Super gets taken out by a flying telephone pole. It's just one Phoenix after another. The Tomcat is now the Oprah of DCS. Just you get a Phoenix,
there,
you get a Phoenix, and it's non-stop.
Who rode Rio for Crips? Because they are.
I think it's Fox.
Good stuff. I mean, some of that may have been PAL, but teamwork there. No doubt those two in sync today, really getting at it. 4 for 4. So now they're down to what? I'm guessing they took 7s, right?
They've got another Phoenix inbound, and that's coming in on Riker. And Riker is turning into it. But it didn't hit.
I think Riker's going to turn this around. He's going to carry hard here.
I forget. Is it 6 for?
It's 5-1. Rage died early for.
How many Phoenixes can they carry?
4.
4. Okay.
4. So here comes an ST-10 from Riker, launched from decently low altitude, 10,000 feet. That's coming in against Comey. Is Comey going to even try? No, Comey's not even going to try to press there. He recognizes, gets the launch warning, doesn't even bother to try and wait and feel that out. He immediately split S's, recognizes that he's in a 1v5, doesn't have to bother. I think the man here to watch is going to be Yaga. Yaga is sitting here ingressing at a ground speed of 900 knots. If he catches Riker, he may be able to kill Riker just with the sheer speed of his aircraft. Just intimidate Riker. Just Chad Boy it up. And here comes a 120 from Yaga, launched from Mach 1.5, and this missile's gonna hit him at Mach 3. Boom! And Riker gets taken out, and his plane doesn't even bother trying to fall to the ground. It just vaporizes in the air. Gone. And that is the end of the round. That's it. And Yaga, I think, got hit by a friendly kill. That was a fratricide there. Because I didn't see Riker launch. I don't know what happened there, but Yaga doesn't have wings.
That is the SD-10 that does impact him, according to they trade there at the end. So.
Oh, that was an SD-10?
Yes, the SD-10
really?
does actually catch him there at the end. And,
I thought he was able to get away from that. I guess not.
I thought he was too, and I think he thought he was too. He's still moving pretty quick, but he's not really maneuvered away from it. But yeah, that thing caught up a little bit. It was just slowing out of Mach, just going past Mach 2.0 when it hit him, just decelerating through 2.0.
But regardless, I got to throw that out there that was still a pretty commanding round by 64th. I mean, that was.
Yeah, those close Phoenixes are absolutely brutal.
Very, very good missile conservation. The parameters they shot from in almost every situation was pretty good stuff from what I was watching in TAC view. I mean, a standard showing from the 64th guys. A very, very good understanding and knowledge.
I think
what's going on here, no doubt.
The spotlight, though, as Lobo pointed out, needs to be on the Phoenix. I mean, those under 20-mile Phoenixes, when you're catching people that are fast, that are too fast to be able to notch effectively, there's not terrain to effectively line of sight him when the Phoenix is coming into from high altitude, dude, you're not getting away. And Silver also points out that the F-14s weren't just kept in reserve launching for 50 miles. They were hugely aggressive in the early parts of that round, in the late parts of that round.
What did you do, Moltar? Did you pull these guys aside and have a briefing session with them? Look, I'm sick of seeing SATAL rounds with 95-mile Phoenixes, right?
No, that's typically just how 64th flies. It's 64th historically in the past years has been more patient and conservative, but this year we're just hugely aggressive. And that's just what it comes down to.
I think what we saw was very good use of the 14. Those guys, as you point out, weren't really, a lot of times what we see with the 14 is that thing hangs back because guys are really afraid to push in and afraid of what they're going to get out of support from their teammates as they push through to try to find the better parameters for their shots. And I think what we saw today was Crimson. And who did you say the Rio was?
I think his Rio is Fox. And then no wheels, Rio was Vatty.
Right. So I think we saw, very good teamwork and communication, and those guys moving up and really getting those jets into much more probable kill positions than we normally see the Tomcats get into. And I think it was a good showcase for a lot of these other teams out there of what you can actually do when you put that Tomcat in the same ranges as, some of what you would normally do with, say, a 16 or an 18, or maybe you bump that timeline back a little bit there, and you basically get that same capability but at a little bit longer of a range with much more speed, and we really saw today how that factored in to you guys being able to really dominate there. I mean, I think in a very short amount of time they were able to go 4 for 4 with those Phoenixes, and it clearly took this thing over very fast.
And the other thing, I was surprised by the altitude differences there. Eclipse Task Force all coming in at sub 10k feet, and I'm just not really sure what they were thinking with that, how they expected that to work out well with them, having the Tomcats especially down in the weeds when all of 64th were above 20,000 feet. So
when you start getting in a position in a match, in my eyes, when your enemy is so much higher than you and they're close enough that they're within weapons engagement ranges, it's very difficult to get that altitude back if you're against an aggressive opponent. So if they're always on the shooting front and being the aggressive ones and have the altitude advantage, it's going to be really difficult for Eclipse Task Force to get out of the weeds. And that was a perfect example of that happening. So 64th was able to capitalize on being high, and they were able to hold it because Eclipse Task Force never got the breather that it needed in order to regroup and regain its altitude, because those constant close and quick shots from the F-14s, and massive kudos to the Rios of Fox and Vatty, because those shots don't happen unless you got a Rio that knows what they're doing. So massive shout out to them for making that even possible. But I credit the F-14's aggressiveness to what kept Eclipse Task Force there low, because if you get high against a Tomcat that's coming in like that, that's already that close, you're going to die. I mean, no question about it. You're going to die if you're getting launched on by a Phoenix from 10 miles that's still powered and at 2,500 knots by the time it reaches you. Dude, you're not getting away from that unless you line of sight or notch it. It's going to eat you for lunch. So
what happened to Rage in the last one? Do we think he just got overextended a little bit?
I think he overextended, but what happened to him was exactly what happened to Eclipse Task Force. He got too close to a Tomcat and wasn't in a position that he could line of sight the Phoenix that was coming at him, and he wasn't in a position that he could notch it effectively. He tried to outrun it, and you're not going to outrun a Phoenix when it's still under power. It's just flat out not going to happen.
Yeah, no, that's a losing battle all day. And there's some strategy to staying low and utilizing the terrain there, but I just don't. I think if you come up against a group with that many powerful radars operating at that altitude, you're really not doing anything to make yourselves more of a difficult target. At the end of the day, you might be able to shake a few extra missiles, but I don't really think you're going to get the overall advantage that you're looking for down there.
Right.
I mean, we didn't even get close to emerge in that one.
No.
I think our closest thing to emerge was Yaga, and was it Riker at the end, and that was 6 miles. Like, that was the closest they got to each other. The Phoenix is just dominated there. But guys, I'm going to send you back to the Super Cup while I get this next round set up and ready to go. We are moving on to round 2. 64th currently leads 1-0. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Ditch the webcams. We are back here in the sim. We're just trying to get underway because I got a photographer coming to take pictures of my house because it is going on the market tomorrow. So my wife and I have been cleaning and moving things and packing things and cleaning things and cleaning things and... Did I say cleaning things? But anyway.
Sounds like you need to clean some things.
I think so. But we are back. 64th is currently leading 1-0. We are on the ramp, on the runway here with 64th. And guys, we're going to talk about it again, and I'm going to say it once more. Tomcats from close to medium range with quality Rios annihilate people.
Well, Billy brought up a really good point while we were away on the Supercut there about, I think we've said it in the past as well, but about flying to expect the incoming missile, especially in Phoenix, about 40 miles.
It's the preemptive notch. It's knowing that I have a 14 spike. The Rio is looking at me right now. That Tomcat's radar sees me, right? I'm at about 40 miles-ish, right? I can anticipate there's probably going to be a shot in the next, so many minutes, seconds here. And you really, if you're not in a position to try to make a long shot of your own, you need to be notching. You need to be already moving away from that Tomcat, because if you run it right up against the wall, that Phoenix is going to get you every single time. So you have to kind of, and this is an experience and feel thing, I think, at the end of the day. But, normally, at least within Athena and our group, if somebody picks up on the fact that Tomcat's within range of the group, that stuff gets called out, and it's, you better be notching, when we start calling that stuff out, because the odds are there's a shot coming, or it already is in flight, at you right at that point. So yeah, getting that preemptive notch off is a big thing.
We do talk about this quite frequently, and I've always called it, you got to fly ahead of your airplane. You got to be thinking outside of your cockpit. You can't fly reactionary when you're flying at this level based on, I'm going to defend now that I'm getting an RWR warning.
Yeah,
because when that happens and you're defending those 15-mile Phoenix shots that are moving at 2,500 knots, it's going to be there before you can even get into the notch. You're not going to get away from it, especially if that missile was launched on STT and isn't even being guided using the missile seeker. You're going to die. Like, there's nothing you can do. And you were saying earlier, Billy, that I think sometimes You even eject when you know you fucked up before you die.
Because you know. It's like, I missed that 14. I got way too close to him. That missile's coming at me, and there's no, like, I know based upon how much speed and what my Mach number is to know whether I'm going to get away from that or not. It's just a numbers game. If you do the math quick enough in your head, you know you're not going to get away from it.
Right.
It's like, I'd rather just get out of Dodge before that experience.
Right.
Well, the big question I've got on my mind at the moment is whether Eclipse are going to learn from the last one and get high and get fast, because, you know, this down to the weeds business doesn't seem to be working out too well for them at the moment.
No, they got an uphill battle here. It's losing a match like that with 5 pilots remaining or 4 pilots remaining, depending on how we take Yaga in that scenario. That's pretty detrimental. So not only do they lose, they got an uphill fight. If they're able to do it, be amazing. I really want to see them come in higher, but again, we just talked about it. Fly ahead of your airplane, because if you get caught high and you're reactionary against close inbound missiles, oh baby, explosions are going to happen, and you are going to become part of the ground. Those squirrels are going to have a heyday. Ninja squirrels be all over you, and it's
yeah.
We're just going to have to see.
I've got to ask you, Maltar, in all the years you've been doing this, have you ever seen a team come in after a bad round and have be down a couple of players due to like rage quits? Does that happen?
I don't think we've seen a rage quit that we know of, right?
Oh, rage quit? No.
Right? That's
the most epic
comeback
I've ever seen, though. Were you with me, Billy, with Epic Ninja Cheese?
Dude, I missed it. That was like I had something going on that was like the second week of Gold League ever.
Oh,
and I had something that weekend. I came in the next one, all everybody was talking about this Epic Ninja. I went back and watched some of
it. He did it twice.
Yeah, it's
twice.
He's
so they lost the round. Epic Ninja Cheese's team lost the first round, and this was a mountain fight. I think it was. I don't remember where it took place, but it was the second week of Gold League, and they lost the first round. Epic Ninja Cheese was the only man left, 1v4, and he killed all 4 opponents twice in back-to-back rounds. Yep. And I was losing my shit. It was amazing. It was amazing. Like, this happened 2 years ago, and we still talk about it.
Yeah, he put the team on his back like nobody has ever done in SATAL. Like, it is the defining moment of a one man taking the team and just putting it on their back and being like, I'll carry all the way through. Let's do this.
Don't worry, guys. I got this. I got this. I mean, you had merges. It was guns only at the very end. It was amazing. Yeah. It was amazing.
True pilots go right there in the moment where the pressure's on, right?
And the reason I bring that up is because teams can do it. Like, if you're down, you definitely can do it. And the reason he was able to do it is because his adversaries got low with him. They lost situational awareness. They couldn't find him. He got situational awareness, found himself in the right place at the right time all the time, and was able to capitalize on each one of those situations. But if you take the altitude and move your opponent to a higher place and you're low, good luck. You're up shit creek, and you had a paddle, but the dude on the shore looked at you, cracked your paddle in half, and then gave you a spatula with a bunch of holes in it to make yourself feel like you had a chance. But your brain was telling you, dude, you handed me a spatula.
I think that happened too, and that's something to think about when a team goes up really fast like that. You know, they become a little lax in trying to find that last guy and take that last guy out.
Oh, sure,
and like that last man can capitalize on that if you observe that type of stuff taking place. And I think you look at Epic Ninja Cheese. There's a guy who just wasn't going to lose that day, and if you make that commitment to yourself, I'm not going to lose today. You can do some special stuff at the end of the day. The knowledge has to be there, right? And the skill has to be there, but the determination is another thing. And I think when someone makes the commitment, like not today, you see the results there,
right?
And he's definitely a guy we need more of in SATAL here, because that's not easy to do for anybody. No. I don't care how long you've been flying stuff, right?
Quick
now, you guys talk about that banning process. If you have the chance to elect for AWACS or not, what drives that decision making there?
If we have the chance to elect for AWACS or not, you mean in Diamond League?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you asking me from a competitor standpoint, like why we would want AWACS or not? Or
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what
so-
I'm asking.
AWACS, and we're going to talk about, we're going to ride along with this Phoenix as it ingresses here. AWACS, in my eyes, is kind of a crutch. It's a handicap for teams and people that lack radar scanning ability. And if you want to expose that, you take away the AWACS. Now, a lot of the guys, and I'm just speaking from 64th's experience here, a lot of the guys in 64th, we've flown for, a lot of us have flown 7 to 10 years. So we flew in times when AWACS in multiplayer, there were no servers with AWACS. Nobody used it because it was
until midway through the Hornets development.
Well, there was data link in the Su-27,
In the
but
Su-27,
they
which
didn't
is-
have AWACS because there was no balance. Like the F-15 and the Su-27 were like the only cap in the MiGs, and I guess the Mirage was there, but the Su-27 was the only one with AWACS, so, or with data link. So they didn't allow AWACS because it was everybody felt it was more balanced. So we got really used to flying without AWACS. You had to rely on your ability to scan, your teamwork to be able to scan different zones and to know that everybody was going to be there. And in my eyes, and I'm not saying, I'm not going to call anybody out because I frankly, I don't know. And the teams are using AWACS in this situation. But, hold on here. Alpha Whiskey's got a Phoenix coming in on him. And Alpha Whiskey getting caught high and gets taken down by a Phoenix. I saw that on the map. And Alpha Whiskey, we talked about this, got to fly ahead of your airplane, and he jacks out. Wasn't far enough ahead of his airplane, was fast and high, and that Phoenix was like, I'm faster and I'm higher and I see you, and plows into his aircraft. And that is the first casualty. Alpha Whiskey is the first man down. Borchi says F-14 kills F-14. Some cannibalism going on in today's matchup. And Alpha Whiskey's the first man, first casualty, and Eclipse Task Force already down to 5 pilots. But back to what we were talking about here. In order to take advantage of not having the AWACS, you've got to have the discipline to scan and to scan effectively. And if you're able to do that and you don't have AWACS on the map, your team, the other team's going to be in for some trouble. So, but with what we talked about with Epic Ninja Cheese earlier, it also allows you to disappear. Because if the other team doesn't have the scanning discipline or it doesn't have the altitude, you're only going to be seen when somebody, an actual combat aircraft, is able to see you. So that's how I see it. 64th, from what I understood, now I haven't been a part of these briefings, we like to fly without AWACS, but we're flying with AWACS. So I don't know what the mindset was there.
I think too, there was a lot of teams too that relied on that for a lot of their tactics, right? Their tactics were kind of exposed once data link and AWACS became more of a thing, right? Mm-hmm. And in order to kind of be able to still utilize a lot of those tactics and a lot of those things, and we see it in the public servers where guys just like to fly with that ability to hide, right? And I think that's been one of the cooler parts about the Syria map, where you can still have the AWACS on the Syria map, but there's a lot of places where you can kind of hide and get away from that type of coverage and mask yourself. So I don't know.
Right.
I think it's one of those things where it all depends on how you like to fly, whether you want the AWACS or not, right? Like what tactics do you want to use, right? At the end of the day. And I think that's really going to dictate your response to whether you want the AWACS in play or not. So I don't know. It creates different layers of difficulty, I think, depending on how you go about it, right?
Well, and the other thing, is your skill set, not necessarily are you good enough, but is your skill set what you excel at? Is it conducive for AWACS or non-AWACS play?
Right.
And there are skill sets that work for one or the other, or both. It just depends. And that doesn't mean that you're a better pilot if you fly without AWACS. That's not what I mean by this in the slightest. It just means you may have better scanning ability if you don't have AWACS, but maybe you have better missile avoidance ability if you fly with AWACS. I don't know. So double tap coming from Crips. From Mark 60s coming in on Riker and Breeze, and those were launched from roughly 20 miles. And these things, they got some get up and go as they ingress here. Here they come. Here comes the close one, which is what I think we're riding along with 3 miles away. Still 1,500 knots. I can't tell who this thing's on. I think it's on Breeze. And I don't think it's going to be able to catch him. No, that's not going to be able to catch him. And the other one got line of sighted.
To the AWACS thing, if you're in an environment where you didn't have an AWACS, then I'd expect that in a 2-ship you'd have a segregation of radar scanning duties, right? One guy close and low, and one guy far and high.
No,
Sorry.
no, it's high and low. It depends.
Well, you want to break up that sky in front of you, right?
That's
each
what the
person
Stinger's
has so
for.
much of a cone, right? So you want to overlap in a certain area of it, but not a whole lot, right? You want to be able to kind of cover where it needs to be covered in front of you, but that's not an easy thing to do at the end of the day. And I think that whole aspect of things takes a lot of coordination.
But that's what the Stinger's for. You allow the trailing element, like in this situation, Crips behind No Wheels and Rage, to be able to get that bigger picture and then relay over comms, because he doesn't have a Link 16 compatible aircraft or PPLI, relay that information over comms to the leading aircraft so that the leaders can be those rabid dogs that are unleashed from their owners and are able to run people down, while the trailing aircraft relays the bigger picture into the area. You do want to have scan priorities and stuff if you're just a 2-ship, but you're so focused in certain spots of the sky that can be kind of difficult, and usually it's more amalgamated to left and right. 54 is now coming in against Riker. He's not getting into the notch, and he gets taken down. Another Phoenix kill. They just keep coming. Non-stop.
Yeah, there's just not enough respecting of the fact that Phoenix may be heading at you today. From what I've seen, that just needed to be a little bit more cautious.
And here's another one.
There.
Burning 2,500 knots, coming in against a hot target from Aspen. He's going to fly right into this. And another. The telephone poles are out here in force, just dominating.
Yeah, but worth mentioning again is the altitude discrepancy here. Again, ETF don't appear to have learnt from their first round, and they're all, bar one, back down in the weeds. And I just don't know how they expect that to work out for them.
It's as if they think they're hiding down there and they're not, and that's, I think, certainly the Phoenix or the Tomcats radar definitely not great at picking up contacts in the dirt. But when you go up against a team, as Multi's pointed out, that communicates as well as 64th does, those 16s are going to find those guys. They're going to be relaying those positions to those 14s, and those 14s are going to be looking for you there. And yeah, you may not pop up right away, but the moment that Rio begins to refine his search with a little bit of information, you're there, and he's going to put a Phoenix on you, as we've seen multiple times here.
Double tap from Coombs there on Super with the 2 slammers coming in, and lots of energy. Still at Mark 2.8 here.
I think that 54 may be able to run Combs down. 120 coming in against Kingston. Is he going to be able to get away from that? Let's see where that 120 is. There it is, half mile away. 0.3, 0.2.
Super goes in.
0.1. Is it going to catch him? It's right there.
Man, I think Super hit the ground.
Yeah, somebody blew up behind him there.
That must have been Super. But now Combs is trying to outrun this Phoenix, and it is going to catch him. No question about it. That thing ran right up his behind, and Combs gets taken out. Just didn't respect the energy that Phoenix was going to have. And it was able to run him down, which is unfortunate. So now we're down to a 5v2. 5 for 64th, 2 for Eclipse Task Force. And I saw somebody say, why don't these pilots jink? Well, jinking against a missile that still has enough energy is not going to do anything. It's going to be able to pull energy, pull the G needed, and change its course and fly right into your jinking aircraft. Now, there are some things there's some exploits that you can do that will cause missiles and DCS to miss 100% of the time, but those are banned in in SATAL, so we
We
don't have to
haven't
worry about
seen
those.
enough serpentine today either, though, to
No.
piggyback off that point there. And that's really, I think, the more effective strategy when you're trying to get away from these missiles is to serpentine back and forth, because you're bending that missile, you're causing that missile to have to adjust its flight path, and in the process, bleeding speed off that missile.
Now look at this. Comey 1 sneaking in from the side here, low level on Kingston within 120. At 5 miles. So he's launched that 120 at about 6 miles on Kingston.
I don't think that initial one's going to be able to catch him, but what it did do is it forced him on the defensive, and Comey has enough airspeed that I think he's going to be able to run him down and put a much higher PK shot on him. So the early missile forced him defensive, forced Kingston into a position where he couldn't be offensive and put missiles back on Comey, and Comey's just full-on 100% offensive in this situation, now pre-flaring just to make sure nothing's going to hit him. And the second 120, as Kingston recommits, is able to take him down.
He had no business being that low in that F-14 prowling around there. I mean, that I think is a direct result of him just being in a bad position in that F-14. That F-14 needed to be up a little bit further back at a lot higher altitude, trying to get that radar working for it. I'm not sure what they thought they were doing down there that low, that close to everybody with that F-14.
I think he was coming in against Rage, and then they got him in the double and the flank. So that was a bag and drag situation where the guy tunnel visioned onto Rage, and then Comey got close enough. I think the initial missile was actually to push Kingston off of Rage, and then once Kingston turned cold, it allowed Comey to keep his speed up. Comey recognized, hey, this guy isn't a threat. I'm just going to keep pressing. And he was able to run him down, which is exactly what happened.
Basically recommitting into 4 bandits from within about 20 miles of him here. So
where did that SC-10 go? There it goes.
Looks like a double tap on. Maybe he's twizzed on Rage and Comey there, but looks like one of them goes into the ground.
I think they're both going to go into ground. That second ST-10 is already down to 700 knots. I mean, the ST-10, with how big of a missile it is, if you make it pull any type of energy or G at low altitude, it's going to bleed all of its energy. But
just to put things into perspective here, ETF lost half of their team in 90 seconds in this round.
Wow. It's pretty quick.
So let's take a look and see the position of Comey. Comey is recognizing, I think, right now that Breeze is cold. I wonder if he's trying to conserve fuel. So let's give you guys split screen so you guys can get an overarching view of what's going on. Here's Comey. Here's Breeze. Comey launches a 120 now on Breeze. That was launched from roughly 5 miles. So now Breeze is having to defend this.
He's turning into it now?
I don't know if that hit him. I think it got line of sighted.
Barely line of sighted. He got super lucky on that one, but he might have
Looking at a possible merge here. I'm getting excited.
I don't think we're going to get into the merge. So benefit here is, I think Comey lost visual of where Breeze was, but via PPLI and having so many friendlies that are high, like X-Man, 15,000 feet, coming in here, he probably kept tabs on where Breeze was. That was relayed over Link 16 to Comey's aircraft. Comey knew where the guy was the whole time, and was able to put that finishing 120 on. That was the closest engagement we've had. I mean, that was as close as these guys have gotten in this 2-round matchup. Was 4 miles.
Yeah, a lot. We'd see guys flying to the ground a lot in SATAL, don't we? That happens.
I think it's
too many things.
out.
It's too many things to focus on too. There's a lot going on in there, and the intensity level gets turned up. And I think we see some guys just it's challenging to try to grasp a hold of everything you need to grasp a hold of there, and not hit the ground at times, especially when you get the terrain like this, where not super tall mountains, but tall enough to where you got to kind of keep your eye on the HUD there when you're flying low.
Back for that missile shot and try and defend, just lose SA,
Right, exactly, and blacking out too. You're pulling a lot of high G maneuvers as you're coming in and out of those mountains most of the time, and sometimes you just bite off a little more than you can chew there.
Yeah. All right, so I got to give shout-outs here because I haven't had time throughout all of this. Gordo B was making it rain earlier. Dropped 1, 2, 3, 4 gifted subs. Then iRobski subscribed, Prime sub for the last 2 months. Thank you very much. Don Brock came in with a tier 1, 4 months. Welcome back. And then Gordo B gifted another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more gifted subs. Gordo, thank you,
check
man.
out Zella Mix too, with
I
like.
haven't gotten there.
Was there that more? There was more than that. Oh wow, okay.
He gifted 10. So Dagwood with the 100 bits. Thank you. Zalamix dropped 10 gifted subs to the community, making it rain and just saying, you get one, you get one. I saw them earlier. I don't know who got all these subs, guys, but welcome to the channel. G.I. Joe came in, tier 1 for the last 9 months. And Urutara Man with another tier 1 says yo and is back for 7. So thank you guys. Much appreciated. This all goes back to just making this stream better. The latest thing was the 3090 so we can get more cameras, but Office Depot canceled my order. My shenanigans with Dell, I canceled because that one was over MSRP. And now with the AMD stuff, I just gotta wait because I may end up grabbing a Ryzen 4 processor and doing all that stuff when that drops and selling my 10900K.
Cut their store out completely. They're retooling it to basically try to prevent the bots from coming through and
Who's
taking
retooling
everything.
it?
NVIDIA closed their web store. So
really?
NVIDIA, yeah, you cannot buy. They actually shifted all of their 3080, 3090 stock of the Founders Edition to Best Buy domestically.
That's not any better.
They haven't announced where they're doing it for Europe yet. I just read this yesterday, but it looks like basically they realized how effed up their web store was and that the bots just get it anytime that they add stock. So to try to alleviate that, they've shifted things to Best Buy until they fix it from the look of it. Yeah,
now, Malta,
that's right.
Yeah, what's up?
While these guys are egressing back here, probably worth mentioning again because there's a bunch of people here who weren't here at the start, but the interview with Slick 1212, former F-15C driver, this Sunday, 1500 Zulu.
Yep.
And next weekend, the weekend after that, I should say, is the first round of Pilot X, followed by an interview with Ace Sung Ho before he fights against Falco.
Yeah, both of those will be really good. And I got to point out, guys, these will be on Loblow's channel. He's eventually going to come over to DCS World Events, but we're getting some stuff situated and testing some things, and we felt it best to keep him there before we start moving stuff. So if you guys want to see that and all of those interviews and stuff, make sure you follow Loblow's channel here on Twitch, and that stuff will be taking place here this weekend, right?
Yeah, Slick 1212, that's this weekend, and then the weekend after that on Sunday, 2000 Zulu, will be the first round Pod X. Now, bear in mind, that's Play School. He is going to be the first Pod X, and that dude flew to 1,000 in real life, and he's going to be going up, I guess, against some pretty strong pilots from the clinic, so that's going to be some pretty interesting.
I gotta cut you off here real quick. Something I have to point out. Rage, RTB still has all of his missiles.
It just goes to show you guys, you don't need to shoot. So like, there never was a reason for him to shoot, so he fucking didn't. Like, excuse me for the language there, but like that, there's so many people I think within SATAL that need to learn that you don't need to just shoot. Like, you should maybe come back sometimes with some missiles. Like, I really want to stress that point. I think it's very nice that you pointed that out because there's a guy who clearly knows what he's doing, but he didn't need to shoot, so he didn't.
So he didn't
like
shoot.
That, didn't shoot. Like, oh,
and
that's so.
And the ones that did shoot, if we go look at these, Crips shot all 4 of his Phoenix, still has his AIM 7s and his AIM 9s. If we look at X-Man or Comey, he launched all of his missiles.
Comey was in it most of the time, too down low.
So,
there
Comey, the F-16s you expect to not have any missiles left because they're the ones that are running people down. And then X-Man has all of his missiles. All of them. He has all 6 AMRAMs and both the AIM 9s. The only thing him and Rage are missing are their drop tanks.
Which it's support. You're supporting those two guys down low, and clearly those guys did their jobs along with the 14s, and there just wasn't a need for it. Which that's okay, and that's I think something that more people within SATAL need to realize, because there's how many times we just see guys come out and just launch. I mean, there's nothing left. I mean, guys are just spent. Fuel, countermeasures, missiles, everything by the end of it, and I just don't think that that everyone needs to fly like that all the time within SATAL. That if there was a little bit more composure with a lot of these expendables and these things that you don't have an unlimited amount of, we would see some better matches out of some of these other teams. that kind of struggle with that stuff. So I think that is definitely something that could improve, could help.
You hit it on the head there. I don't think it's anything to do with pilot skill. I think a big part of it is experience, which I think Kingston pointed out earlier, that Eclipse Task Force has only been a team for like 6 months.
Right.
64th, we came from 51st. A lot of us have been flying together for a long time. So a big part of this is experience, camaraderie, and trust with everybody that you're flying with.
Right.
And
absolutely
experience in competitive arena to know I don't need to shoot or I need to shoot, so on and so forth. So I don't want anybody to get the idea that we're thinking these guys are bad pilots. A big part of SATAL and a big part of all of this is nerves. And you may normally make great decisions, but when you get into this arena, when dying actually means something, you're gonna make mistakes if this is your first time doing it. And I did when I first got into this, because it's nerve-wracking. So X-Men and Rage, I gotta point it out again, just have the experience to know they're not gonna get nervous and fire when they don't need to. Even when they've been fired on, they recognize, hey, my missile's not gonna do anything, so I'm just gonna hold on to it. And they just hold on to their stuff. And if that round would have gone longer, they would have had weapons left.
No, and I think you point out a good thing here, and I think everyone, all parties involved in SATAL, whether you're a viewer or you're a participant, this is a learning tool, I think, for in a lot of ways, shapes, and sizes. I think sometimes it may feel like we're calling you out or we're trying to make somebody specifically look better, and that's not the case. I think anytime somebody here takes a risk and says something like that, you're doing it for the educational purposes. You're trying to point out something that may help people down the road, whether it's that person in that moment or whether it's the people at home watching. I think the educational implications of pointing a lot of these things out are worth way more than how it may make somebody feel at the end of the day. I think everybody who participates in SATAL needs to kind of be confident and comfortable with what they put out there at the end of the day, and learning from that is the big key factor. I think that's truly what we do best here, is help educate people.
Are these guys going to land in formation, or are they going to do an overhead break?
I don't know.
It's going to be hard to do a formation land with F-18 and 16. That'd be rough.
It's challenging.
There goes the cross under. Nice. Oh, you guys didn't see that. Nice cross under from Comey. Yeah, Billy, your webcam's frozen.
Is it? Oops.
Yeah. And Comey, if you're watching, turn your damn beacon light off. You're so easy to see. It's a beacon, like a lighthouse in the middle of the sky, especially to people in VR. It's ridiculous. These guys should be coming in. I think they're going to do an overhead because they're still 450 knots. And yeah, they're going to do an overhead. X-Man's going to break right, and Comey will break shortly after him. These guys not.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, I should be back. I think camera's back now.
Yeah, you're good.
Nothing there.
A little wobbly there, but not bad. Not bad. Break should be happening right about now. There he goes. Count to 5.
As well.
Yeah.
And there goes that one.
Digital aggressor liveries. I believe they did the command for the 64th. I believe the IRL did a Facebook poll, if I remember correctly, when they were contemplating putting those liveries on the jets, and I think that was the one that won. I might be mixing that up with something else, but I'm pretty sure that's how they ended up kind of coming to the conclusion on those liveries.
Yeah, X-Men did a phenomenal job with these liveries, and this livery, I think, actually got adopted by ED into the game.
Did it really? Oh, nice.
I think it did.
So I have to ask, if there wasn't AWACS in today, for example, do you think ETF's in the weeds tactic may have played out a bit differently for them?
No.
I think with the way 64 approaches this, their game plan kind of factors that type of stuff in to begin with, right? Because even with an AWACS in, you're still going to lose guys down in those mountains, right? Like as you get down low into the terrain there, stuff's going to drop in and out, and you have to be prepared for that regardless. And that's something I think we really start to see on the Syria map, where you could have two AWACSs up providing, data link and all that type of stuff, and guys still get lost down there in the dirt, and you have to kind of prepare.
The reason I say no is because of the altitude difference between 64th and NTF. The altitude allows you to get that situational awareness, and the trailing aspect of the F-18s, relaying that stuff to the lead, to the 14s and the 16s over PPLI or comms, it makes the AWACS kind of not matter. The AWACS was just icing on the cake in my eyes from this match. I don't think it would have mattered. When you get stuck low, I think you actually have a worse time scanning for high bandits if they're not marking, if you don't have AWACS. So it's a lot easier, in my opinion, to scan low to, or high to low than it is low to high. That's
Agreed.
In my experience, it's always played out.
Right.
These guys are now landing, and Crips will be the last one, but I'm going to actually end up having to bounce, so we're going to bounce back to the talking heads. So we're back there. Billy has fixed his webcam, so he's good to go. But guys, that's going to be it. Next round, our next matchup is going to be Gold League, and I don't remember who it is. I'm going to go try and find it. But what are your guys' closing remarks while I go and try and find that? Loblo, let's start with you.
Yeah, convincing. I mean, I would have liked to have seen ETF get up high and fast for the second round, but it didn't happen.
So, 64th doing 64 things. I mean, it's another day at the office for those guys from where I'm sitting. So it was textbook showing of how to play SATAL. So no doubt.
Well, next match is going to be 343rd Naval Air Group against Griffin Squadron, and then that'll be on Tuesday. And then Thursday will be German Tactical Air Group against Baby Shakers. So that'll be Tuesday and Thursday. Reminder, no stream on Saturday. You got Low Blow stuff on his channel, the interview with Slick, so make sure you check that out. Follow him if you haven't already for when he goes live this weekend. But that's all I got, ladies and gentlemen. Continue to check up on the website. I actually have to blow it away and restart because that theme that I'm using right now, it sucks. It's not working.
Per our conversation the other day, probably ought to let everybody. We got some pretty cool things coming on the horizon. Nothing. I think we're ready to let out of the bag yet. But I think we had a nice conversation the other day, and I think there's a lot of cool ideas starting to brew around here, and I think it's going to result in a lot more content for you guys that you guys can kind of chew on during the week and when we're not on here type stuff. So keep an eye out for that. I think you guys are going to see a lot more coming from us in the future here.
Lots of stuff coming here in the near future. Just keep an eye out. DCSWE.com. If you haven't joined the Discord already, make sure you join there. If you aren't following us or subscribed to us on YouTube, that's where all of the replays and Alpha Whiskey supercuts are going to be. And Alpha Whiskey is a magician when it comes to DCS fan videos and all this stuff. So make sure you do that. But that's all I got, ladies and gentlemen. So I will see you guys Tuesday. Again, no stream Saturday. Tuesday for another SATAL 2020 match. Back to Gold League. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, stay safe in those virtual skies. And we'll see you guys later. Have a good one.
See you.